Hi guys! Today I'm going to be talking about Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea, and let me tell you, before I went to Japan, I had heard time and time again that Tokyo Disneyland was the best Disney park in the world, and I'm here to tell you, it is not. Okay? I don't know who is spreading this propaganda that is so amazing. Don't get me wrong, the park is fun and it's good. It's just, there's no way that it is better than regular Disneyland. I'm sorry, it's just not. I'm a frequent goer of Disneyland, and I love Disneyland, but I've also been, I have been to Disney World, Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and now Disneyland Tokyo. And I'm gonna tell you why it's not as good as everybody says it is. Okay, first let's talk about the lines. The lines are crazy at Disneyland, even crazier at Disney Sea. And what I mean by the lines, mostly like to get into the park. On the very first day we showed up between 7:30 and 8 a.m. The park opens at 9, but most of the times they let you in early around like 8:30, which was the case for every day we went. We got in let early around 8:30. So the first day we got there like an hour early than when they started letting people in. And when we had arrived there, it was just flooded with people. Just so many people that I wasn't expecting. And I had seen online that people come early. It was just more than what I thought. So I wasn't prepared for that. And when the line started to move, it took us an hour from where we were in the line to actually get into the park. So do note that if you want to be like first into that park, like I don't even know what time you have to get there. Like super early. And then Disney Sea is more popular than Disneyland, so the wait times inside the park are longer at Disney Sea than Disneyland. Disney Sea, we went there, so we did 3 days at the park. We did Disney Sea, then Disneyland, then Disney Sea. So on Sunday and Tuesday we had Disney Sea, and both the days were similar wait times, but for like the really popular rides, it was gonna be 2 hours plus. And then like the lowest wait time is like 40 minutes. We went in the summer, so we went in the middle of June, so that also plays into the wait times. But on Disneyland, the Disneyland side, the longest wait time was Splash Mountain, which the highest we saw was 120. But everything else was like basically a walk-on. Baymax and Beauty and the Beast were like max like 45 to 50. But also I will note that every single wait time, like 99% of the wait times on your Disneyland app were inaccurate, but most of the time they said they were longer than what they actually were. There was only a couple times that they ended up being longer than the app. So like for instance, there were even large discrepancies. Like for one of the rides, we got in line when it said there was 120 minutes wait time, but we actually only ended up waiting 60 minutes. But most of the time it was maybe like 20 minutes faster than what it said it was going to be. So just take that into account as well. Okay, let's talk about the food and the merch at Tokyo Disney. So I'm a pin collector. That's basically like the only souvenirs I get in Disneyland, and the pin selection here is almost non-existent. There was maybe like a total of like 15 different pins, and like 10 of them were all the character statues, so it was the same type of pin, just a different character. And then the other pins that they did have were just, I don't know, kind of random. There was some stuff for the Food and Wine Festival was there while we were there, but like again, not really anything. And they also don't do pin trading, so just if you're a pin girl like me, be aware of that. And the merch, if you don't like Duffy and you don't like Baymax, there might not be a lot for you at Tokyo Disneyland. they don't have like shops. Like, you know how at Disneyland you exit a ride and there's a shop after every single ride, and it's usually themed based on the ride you just rode. They don't really have any of that. There was like one ride that did that, and then they have like a couple little kiosk, like little booth areas, but all of them are selling the same thing, so it's not like you're gonna get different merch in different parts of the park. And then on their like main street type areas, it was the same stores over and over again. We were also looking to find things that said Tokyo Disneyland on them, but or things in Japanese. But the Japanese think that English is cool, so they don't have things in Japanese, they have them in English, so we didn't really find any of that either. It was also odd to us that everything was pretty spread out. I feel like in Disneyland, things are right next to each other, compact, like turn this way, there's another thing. That was not the case at Tokyo Disneyland or Disney Sea. There were areas that we were standing in and there was like, it was wide open, no people, not really any buildings, like you could, so that's just a different vibe. And as far as the food goes, we found it difficult for the food because a lot of times the food was inaccurate on the app. So if we were somewhere and we were trying to find food, like we would look up what's on the app and then it would be totally different when we showed up to that place. So just be aware of that. I don't know if it was like something wrong with the app or if because of the Food and Wine Festival things were different, but just be aware of that. And then also they have food carts and stuff that only sell like one thing, and that one thing is only sold at that one specific cart in the entire park. So a couple of things that we had were like, we had something in Frozen, the Arendelle land, and then like something that we absolutely loved was the sea salt ice cream shell, and that was only sold at one cart at one part of Disney Sea. We didn't ever see it in Disneyland side, and so like that was our favorite thing there, but we had to always track back to that cart to find it. So that was a little frustrating. The only thing that they had kind of throughout the entire park was popcorn, and they did have really cool flavors of popcorn, so I would definitely recommend trying those popcorns. And they're actually good, and they're true to what they say they're gonna taste like for the most part. We couldn't try every single popcorn, but the ones we did try were really good, and would recommend. We tried beef, curry, corn, and some other ones. Also to note that there are not a ton of rides in Disneyland, but they are very spread out, so it looks like a large park, but we were walking to the edge of one of the parks one day, and it took us 45 minutes just to walk there, because you kind of have to walk around things and they're very spread out. So in Disney Sea, there's a big lake in the middle of the park, so you kind of have to go left or right of the lake and then make your way all the way around it. So just note that if you're like rope dropping and trying to get to a ride and stuff like that. So let's get into the ride specifically. Disney Japan is not, it's like, it is like Disney owned but not built by Disney, if that makes any sense. So the mechanics and the animatronics on the ride are actually way better than the other parks. So things like Winnie the Pooh, the Frozen ride, and like those kind of things are like way different and way better. In my opinion, the best ride in the whole park is Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast and the Frozen ride truly do have some like animatronic magic going on. Like, it's pretty incredible. And there are rides that are the same as Disneyland. There might be a few things tweaked, but for the most part, there's a lot of the same. And then the rides that are different are going to be completely different. One that jumps out to me is Tower of Terror. Their Tower of Terror is a different storyline. And it made us realize that a lot of their rides are shorter than what we're used to. So for like Tower of Terror, there's basically only like 2 big drops, and that's the end of the ride. So, and then also the Tangled ride, which I will be getting into later because that's controversial, is very short. It's less than 2 minutes long. So just be aware of that as well. If you're waiting 2+ hours for a ride, you might only get like 60 seconds of that ride in return. So just, I kind of wish we had known that before, but okay. Let's talk about Fantasy Springs. Fantasy Springs was for a really long time, because it's newer, they had timed entries and not everybody was able to make it into Fantasy Springs. When we had gone, Fantasy Springs was officially opened up to the public and you did not need a timed entry. So we were able to just walk into Fantasy Springs and get in line for any ride. On the very first day that we were there, we had planned on rope dropping Fantasy Springs, and be aware that it is the furthest away from the entrance of the park. And we had planned on going to Frozen first because typically Frozen and Rapunzel have the longest wait times. But by the time we had entered the park, we got into the park at 9:30. By the time we had done that, Frozen was already 120-minute wait time, and it just gets larger from that. So if you're going to ride those rides, kind of go at like an off time, or just be prepared to wait in the line. I'm sure as they get less new, then the rides will get shorter lines, but just be aware of that. Tinkerbell and Peter Pan usually had shorter wait times in Fantasy Springs. I'm going to talk about the positives of Fantasy Springs first, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty controversial stuff. But Fantasy Springs has a beautiful look, but you may not realize it unless you go all the way in. The coolest part of Fantasy Springs is the rock carvings, and there are big displays of the rock carvings on the very back side of Fantasy Springs, next to the hotel. And we only really saw it, walked over there because the line for Frozen got wrapped around all the way to the back side of it, and that is my favorite part of Fantasy Springs. The rides are cool and stuff, but like, I don't know, half of the rides are cool in Fantasy Springs, the other half are So, yeah, definitely go check out the rock formations, and specifically the Arendelle section of Fantasy Springs was really cool. It's really immersive. To me, that area feels the most like a Disney park because you walk into it and you feel like you are in Arendelle. So that was spot on and very, very well done. The rides in Fantasy Springs, Peter Pan is super fun and very cool. It usually has a lower wait time, so I would definitely ride that more than once if you get the chance. Tinkerbell is more centered towards younger children, and it's just that kind of ride, like a buggy type situation. And Frozen is, I think, the best ride in Disney Sea. It's very like animatronic magic. It's very cool. I would honestly wait 2 hours for it. It was very cool. It was longer. It's a boat ride, but it's also on like a track. So there are some cool things they do with that, and you just need to ride it. You just need to ride that one. You can see clips of that one online. But speaking of clips online, the Tangled ride is the most overhyped thing in all of Tokyo Disney ever. If you have seen clips online of the ride, you have seen the entire ride because it is less than 2 minutes long. You have the front section where like you can see all of that outside the ride, like the Rapunzel Tower and Flynn next to the rock, and then you go into the building and there's like a little mid-section where you just see a painting of Arendelle on the wall, and then you go into the lantern room. The lantern room takes about 20 to 30 seconds, and then the ride is over. So that really made me mad. And we we waited a long time for that ride because I love Tangled, and then I was thoroughly disappointed when the ride was over because that was it. So I'm here to de-influence you on the Tangled ride. It is not worth it. If you've seen clips online, it's just as good as the ride, honestly. I would spend your time waiting in line for Frozen or going on Peter Pan, in my opinion. But rides outside of Fantasy Springs. On the Disneyland side, you got your classic Splash Mountain is the OG Splash Mountain, so that was really fun. And then you've got your Haunted Mansion and your Pirates. Those ones are the same with little bit tweaks. And then you've got your Star Wars, like Star Tours rides. And like I said earlier, the best ride in the park is Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is truly amazing. When we were there, it did not have a long line, so I would just go. Not even the ride itself, but even the line waiting to get onto the Beauty and the Beast ride is perfect. You're going through the castle, and the castle outside looks amazing. The area around the Beauty and the Beast ride is kind of like the Arendelle situation. It's as if you had stepped into France, and you have your little villages, and it's just chef's kiss. It's so good. I would 100% recommend going there. Frozen and Beauty and the Beast, best rides in the park, with honorable mention to Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is also amazing. So the park costs about $60 to get in, depending on when you're going. Holidays, weekends will play into that a little bit, but 60 US, and also depending on what the yen is for when you go. But then when you're in there, food is cheap, merch is cheap, depending on what you get. But like I said, food options are also kind of it is Disney, so you are going to pay a little bit more with Disney prices, but all in all, this park is good. It is just definitely overhyped in my opinion. It is not the best Disney park in the world to me. To me, now that I've been to 4 of the Disney parks in the world, I gotta say, Disneyland is still my top in California. Paris, the Disney park in France, is also really cool, but I don't know, maybe I'm biased. I go to Disneyland more and it just has more for me there. But yeah, definitely, if you're in Japan, go to Disneyland for sure. Check it out. You just may not need a whole week to do it. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you've been there and you think my takes are controversial, hot takes, whatever. If you agree with me, comment below. Thanks for watching.